Welcome everybody. Welcome to Friends with Political Benefits. As Stacey said, I am Lisa, and this is my beautiful co-host Stacey. And we are here today with John Blake, who is running for New Jersey's 4th Congressional District, which is currently held by a Republican. He is running in the primary. And to start us off, John, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us why you decided to run for CD4?
Okay. Hello, good evening. Thank you for having me. My name is John Blake. Like you said, I'm running for House of Representatives Congressional District number 4 out of New Jersey, which is Monmouth and Ocean County. I was born here. I've grown up here. My union hall is here. My family's here. My friends are here. I have a lot tied to this district. I'm a Navy veteran from 2000 to 2004. I served in the world's greatest Navy. Funny thing about that is I never met so many people who couldn't swim until I joined the Navy. You figure that's ironic, but I guess if the ship's going down, you're kind of screwed anyway. But so what made me run? Well, our congressman, if you want to call him that, has been an absentee congressman for the past 45 years, my entire life. I'm 43 years old. So a lot has been going wrong around here that is due to his negligence, where his oversight could provide solutions to a lot of these situations. I feel like he's checked out years ago, and the guy has to go. And you couple that with what's going on in the nation. I do not like this administration. I don't like anything they've done from day one. From day one, everything they've done has concerned me. They were going to use the military against the people or commit war crimes. And here we are. They've done both of those. So when it came to it, I had to do something. I knew Chris Smith was going to be a rubber stamp for this administration, which he has been so far, because he's a no-show anyway. So couple everything together with the local problems and then the national problems. I felt like it was my responsibility to run due to my background. I'm a 17-year IBW electrician, as well as my veteran status. So it gives me certain things that I can and cannot do, as well as the military committee chairman since 2018. So I'm passionate about veterans' rights, things like that. And if you had to ask me why now, it's because of the current state of the country. And honestly, this isn't me. This forced me to step outside my comfort zone, very much so. But in doing that, I kind of got used to it, if that makes sense. And then after getting used to it, it's kind of natural. So I realized after a while, it's definitely made me grow as a person. So I have no regrets whatsoever about doing this, and I definitely intend to unseat this guy.
I love that. Definitely hear your passion. You definitely seem like you've got your why very straight in your mind. Anybody that comes up and asks you, you can give that, which is very important when you are running against someone that's well known and you may be lesser known. So I love that.
Thank you.
Did you have anything, Lise?
Yeah. So, who is your average constituent in your district? Like socioeconomic background, occupation, family life. Like, what's the most important issues in the district too?
Both
Like
Monmouth,
people. Mm-hmm.
both Monmouth and Ocean County are both blue collar working counties. Most people are around my age or a little bit older, blue collar working. Either that or working poor. And we have a couple bases that are around us. So we're very passionate about our veterans and our military and our veterans benefits and everything like that. But if I had to say anything, I would say it's a blue collar working class area, which is why I feel like I'm a perfect representative for it.
That's what when I did the research for this, that's what I saw. It's very blue collar. That's why it's and it's been red because the Republican Party has kind of taken hold, if you will, of a lot of the blue collar working class people in the United States in the last several years. But I feel like that's changing. And I don't know about you, but I know that we've seen it. Like we've seen it on TikTok. We've seen it with people we talk to, and through different campaigns and different special election results. the pendulum is swinging hard back to the left. And could you just tell us just a little bit about some of the things that your constituents are talking to you about? Like, what is, like, are they talking to you about these economic issues? Do they, like, is that progressive populism something that they are embracing?
100%. The progressive populism is definitely something that people are very much interested in. And as far as the whole MAGA situation, like my local, my IBW local does have a lot of MAGA in it and MAGA adjacent. I have found that you can bring some people back. Like if you scale it from a 1 to 5 and you have a 5 being the hard MAGA that drank the Kool-Aid that you're never going to sway. And then anybody like further beyond that, you can kind of pull back. I've been able to find that because a lot of people understand that their wallets are hurting. This guy hasn't done anything to help them in their current situation. And in fact, Chris Smith signed on for this big, beautiful bill. And I think some of these guys are starting to wake up to the fact that all of this wealth is being transferred upward with no representation for themselves.
100%. So what would you say your top 3 priorities for New Jersey 4 are, and what's your first bill or first big push once you're in office?
It's definitely housing, definitely funding the VA, and I'm a union electrician, so I'm passionate about energy. We have an energy crisis going on right now, which we shouldn't have. We decommission power plants. We're not utilizing the windmills that we should be utilizing, that we spent money on. We're doing things. It's like cutting off your toes and wondering why you can't walk type thing. So the first couple of things I would definitely do is I would address the housing. I told you I'm a passionate veteran about veterans benefits. So I'd look into addressing the VA, make sure our VA is completely funded, even though the big, beautiful bill took $1 billion away from veterans VA funding. I want to make sure that our VAs are up to task. And like I said, the energy situation, I would want to do a survey, an ecological survey around the windmills, because I don't believe that they're really harming the environment or the whales like people are saying. I think that's a false narrative that's being pushed just to kill the green energy projects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Do you have any about the whales and the windmills? What are your thoughts about data centers? Because I know that's a big topic. I know Mikey Sherrill, that was huge in her race. And I'm in Pennsylvania. My governor, Josh Shapiro, he recently at his State of the Union talked about how he was going to address the increase in energy costs for people within an entire region, not just Pennsylvania, that are driven up by these data centers. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I love it. Great question. So I would require that the data centers actually generate their own power, and not power like from a crappy little generator on site, like actual generate their own power. And it's more than that. Like I would make sure that they're not harming the environment. Like a lot of these things suck up a lot of water out of the environment and then they leave them dry. I would mandate that they have a closed loop cooling system. So that way they're not constantly drawing water out of our environment and they're recycling their own water. Like when you're driving your car, that's what you have is a closed loop cooling system where it filters the water back through and cools it and then sends it back to the engine. I would mandate something exactly like that. I don't see why that is an issue or why that has been a problem so far. It should have been like that to begin with, in my opinion.
Right. I would say that I have heard someone say that once the water's been used, it's not suitable to be used because it needs fresh water. So that would need, filtration, I'm assuming.
Well, there's a will, there's a way.
Right. And I don't know anything about how car cooling systems work.
Yeah, I don't know. I believe that it's entirely possible. In fact, they have structures in Europe that actually utilize that same exact system. So I have trouble believing that it's not plausible.
Okay.
The next question we have for you is, what is your position on healthcare, like universal healthcare? And if you are for universal healthcare, what does it look like to you? Is it Medicare for all? Is there a public option? do you actually, propose a completely different kind of healthcare system?
I am a Medicare for all guy. I feel like the United States government should be providing their people with health care. What I run into a lot of times, they say, where do you find the money? Where do you find the money? Well, we have the money. We're just putting in dumb places, like 40 billion to Argentina, for instance. And did you know that the military industrial complex, not a fan of Doge, let me preface with this, but the military industrial complex has a budget of $1.5 trillion right now. And they haven't passed an audit since 2018. They can't account for 60% of their money since 2018, and we're giving them more. You can't tell me that money can't go to benefit Americans. The money is there. But I'm a Medicare for all guy. So definitely.
No, I agree. I agree that we do have the money. I agree we've been lied to. I completely I think that far too long our leaders have relied on us just not knowing any better, that they could tell us that there's just not enough money, that they could rely on pushing this narrative that we all just want free stuff. Like, it's not free, sir. We are paying taxes and we're not getting very much for, bang for our buck, if you will.
Exactly. It's not free.
Taxpayer funded.
Exactly.
It's taxpayer funded. Yeah. Yeah. We want taxpayer funded, right? We want taxpayer funded public benefits, which is what we're supposed to get. We're not getting a whole lot of that, right?
Well,
Instead,
we're giving $40 billion to Argentina. Well, Argentina provides their citizens health care and education. Isn't that ironic?
Isn't that funny?
Apparently it's unaffordable.
Apparently it's not unaffordable. It's just, it's not about having the means to do it. It's about having the will to do it, right? And if they actually provided U.S. citizens, right, U.S. citizens with the benefits that we are actually paying for, they wouldn't have any money to send over to Argentina so that they could, save their friends from bad investments that they made in that country. So that's why they want to keep that, they want to make sure that they stay liquid, if you will, with our money. So
and they're killing our farmers in the meantime while they're doing it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently you can afford it if you're subsidized by another country.
Yeah.
But no one's subsidizing them.
Yeah,
nobody will subsidize us.
Okay. I love that. Love those answers. You're speaking our language there, John. I have to say.
Very much so.
Well, it's nice to be with like-minded people for sure.
Yes, it is.
So what policies are needed to create a strong economy that benefits everyone? Like when we're talking about wages, taxes, jobs, like what does that look like in your estimation?
Honestly, all of your examples are spot on. I mean, taxes obviously could be lower. We're getting choked out with property taxes around here. So those could be. And it's funny because Chris Smith lives in Virginia, who has property, cheaper property taxes than here. He rents out his New Jersey residence so he can keep his House of Representatives seat. Sorry about that.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah.
So he doesn't even live here.
No. So wages have been stagnant for 30 plus years, as far as I can tell. That definitely needs an increase. The minimum wage is terrible. I don't understand how anybody could possibly live off a minimum wage unless they're working like 5 minimum wage jobs in a week. It doesn't make sense to me. Jobs obviously are important. Education is super important. We're having schools that are going bankrupt because somebody's not providing oversight to these schools, and they're having problems with transportation and everything else. It's insane. So the housing I was talking about, that's one of my pet peeves. That's actually one of the first things I plan to address. We have an issue here where you like, if you're a young family up and coming, you're looking for your starter house to build a family with, and you get ducks in a row, you get your deposit down, and you're getting outbid by LLCs and corporations, big money corporations that are jamming these things full of like 4 families, are taking an incredible beating on the infrastructure that's crumbling as it is. The whole thing needs to be reworked. There should be oversight in that as well, to which I intend to provide absolutely off the bat. As far as student debt, I mean, I'm of the opinion that the government should be paying for our education as well. So I'd be all about doing something about the student debt. I just hadn't come up with anything off the top of my head for that yet. But I do believe that that is definitely something that could benefit everybody for sure. You know, you shouldn't go bankrupt for getting sick, and you shouldn't go bankrupt for trying to get an education and better your life.
Mhm.
Those two things are preposterous to me.
Yeah, I mean the calculation now is you either have to work 4 or 5 gig jobs or minimum wage jobs just to be broke, or if you want a ticket to the middle class, you are going to pay through the nose and go into unbelievable debt and pay ridiculous interest rates to have that, to be able to do that, so that you really can never get ahead. You're either you're either drowning in poverty, right, and just working constantly, or you're in so much debt you might as well be, right. Your take home pay or your ability to provide for yourself is little more than the people with the 5 gig jobs because of how much you have to pay in student loans. There are people that I've seen that they're paying $1,600 a month for a student loan. Like that's
And
more than a mortgage.
absolutely. And that's not even accounting for childcare, right? And that also you have to take into consideration that if you are trying to qualify for a mortgage, that counts against your debt to income ratio. So that's less money that they will look at you having available to you to pay your mortgage back. So you're not going to qualify for very much if you're paying $1,600 a month in student loans.
Yeah, exactly. They're choking us
In an
out with all
apartment.
these bills, for real.
Yeah, and that goes these days. That goes for apartments too. It used to be just for a mortgage, but now for certain people in like my stepmother who's in her 70s, my father passed away. She wanted to get into an apartment. They're like, well, we need to see that you generate 3 times the amount of your rent.
I mean,
It's not a fixed income. What are you talking about?
these poor kids, I mean, these poor young people that are growing up into this country now, a lot of them are starting to realize like the only way they're going to be able to get a house is if it's willed to them in the end, which is absurd to me. Like the American dream was sold to all of us, and so we were talking about wages earlier. So the minimum wage has been what, $15 for like 25, 30 years now, and everything's done nothing but increase in price. It's just it's unfair the way the system's rigged against us, honestly, in my opinion.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to tie into when you were talking about minimum wage is that the messaging we're finding resonates, can and will resonate with folks, the populace, more if you say a livable wage, because that is the fight and the lie that the Republicans have sold. Like, minimum wage was never supposed to be a livable wage, and it was absolutely developed so you had enough money to live on. And they have just been saying it because that's what they do, right? They just say the lie over and over and over again. And people are like, well, they keep saying it. They say it everywhere. It must be true, right? So to call it, we're going to raise the minimum wage to a livable wage, which is what it always should have been, I think might help to reshape that argument and get people talking about that.
That's a great point. I'm learning more as I'm going along, and that's a fantastic point, and I'll absorb that for real. But we do have, like, people are financing their groceries. Like,
Yes.
Isn't that insane?
Mm-hmm.
It's wild, the world we live in now. I swear there's a concerted class to limit or effort to eliminate the middle class. That's what it seems like.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. It's pretty much already gone.
Right.
Like, it's pretty much already a have and have not world.
Yeah. So, and I take, offense to that, being one of the middle class, blue collar working, Joes.
Who built the country, right? Okay. What do you say to voters who feel like both parties ignore them? What should the party do to earn back a minimum and maintain their trust in the long term?
I say they're right. And what I would do as the party to try to earn back the people is I would swear off all all PAC money, all big money, all corporation money. And I would start making steps to make the blue collar middle class life a little bit more affordable and easier for them.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much it. That's my whole answer. They're correct. I'm sorry. That's the way I see it as well.
Yeah. What do you see as the major differences? Like if someone would say, come to you and say, they're two wings, you guys are two wings of the same bird. Why would I get off the couch? Because those are the people, 90 million people sat out the 2024 election, and we're really trying to engage with them because like you said, MAGA is like, there's like some MAGA, it's like, okay, we'll pray for you. But the people that we can reach and the people that sat it out, who are like, they're all washing their hands in the same water. How do you delineate yourself and what you see and what you want for the party, not so much what it is now, as differentiating features?
I would tell those people that a lot of these leaders take money from the same people, so they're almost the same entity in a way. So regardless if it's blue or red, it's still the same situation going on, unfortunately. And I would tell them that's why local, these next midterms and the local politics are super important now more than ever. Are the midterms important? We need to get actual people that have the interest of the American citizens in mind, and not just padding their wallets and trying to get financially secure through the means of the American people to elevate into these positions to replace these leaders that are bought for and paid for by the same people as the Republican leaders, so that way you're not, it's not the same when you're voting either way. You actually have a difference.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. So where do you stand? Wait, which number are we on? Sorry, Stace. Right?
Seven.
Okay. All right. So where do you stand on campaign finance reform, Citizens United, and voting rights?
I think
I don't
think we know, but
yeah, like Citizens United. I would get money out of politics. I think it ruins politics. I think lobbyists are bad for politics, and I would not take any foreign PAC money or any big corporation money either. No. So
awesome. I love it.
Love that.
So so Citizens United cannot be overturned with legislation, not just like, because it was a Supreme Court ruling. And I always like to bring this up because I don't think a lot of people know. They're like, overturn Citizens United. Well, it's a Supreme Court ruling. It's a determination that the Supreme Court made that corporations are people and that money is speech, right? That's the crux of the argument. And because of that, we cannot limit how much money corporations can give through these super PACs.
Right.
But I've actually developed a 10 bill, if you will. It's like 10 small bills that will actually kneecap it. So I would love to send it to you and get your thoughts, and to see if you might want to champion it, because it deals a lot with transparency and reporting requirements, so that they cannot funnel dark money without any consequence. Like, they would have to report it. We would have to know exactly where the money came from. They use a lot of shell companies and like a shell game, if you will, to kind of hide where the money's coming from and how much they're getting from different foreign entities and lobbyists and outside groups. Also, one of the bills creates a public fund, like the Bernie Sanders public fund that he talks about, the public funding system, where all anybody who wanted to opt into it, any candidate could opt into it, and thank you, Titus. And their whole campaign would be funded by public dollars, right? So they wouldn't have to worry about taking campaign money or super PACs or any of the things. Would love to send that to you.
Absolutely. I would love to look at it.
Yeah. Oh, great. Yeah, I'll email it to you.
Where do you land on pew pew, safety measures, background checks, red flag laws, assault weapons bans?
Well, let me preface by saying I like pew pews. There was a show that I actually really liked, which was like a reality competition show with a bunch of marksmen, and there would be different projectile weapons that they would utilize to display their marksman qualities. and it was a tournament type system. It was a good show. Anyway, I like pew pews. Don't get me wrong. The wrong people are getting them though, and what I don't like is innocent kids getting unalived because of pew pews. So I do believe that we need red flag laws as well as universal background checks. As far as the assault pew pews, I'm kind of reluctant to say anything about those right now. Maybe I would, you know, include those, but I'm not sure right now. I just would not. Um, just the fondness, I guess, of the weapon itself. I suppose nothing. It's like anything else. It's destructive, and it shouldn't be allowed among people. But again, I do like sport and competition and marksman stuff like that. So that's where I have a little reluctance. That's all.
So you're aware that that's the number one weapon used. That's the school pew pewers' weapon of choice, right?
Yeah.
So as you said, with data centers, where there's a will, there's a way. And we had an assault weapons ban back in the 90s that worked very well, right?
Yes.
No one came and took anybody's pew pews.
Mm.
You were grandfathered in, and it worked. And there's no reason for it to not work again. So as far as I'm concerned, there needs to be regulation on all pew pews and not just the ones that we're not fond of or don't have a specific affinity for, especially when it's the number one weapon that is taking our children from us.
That's fair.
Right. And so anyone that wants to, the same laws apply, right? It's just background checks and make sure that you don't have any history. Make sure. I mean, I've actually been working on a firearms insurance idea that I'm rolling around. That kind of just like you need insurance to drive your car.
Okay.
Maybe you need to take out a policy, and maybe you get some breaks on your policy depending upon the type of securing system you have in your house. Do you have a lock box? Do you have a biometric box? Do you have a safe? Right? All the things. Okay. Because at the end of the day, we're the number one place in the world for pew pew unalivings.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Our pew pews outnumber us something like 10 to 1.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
I understand. And it's not like, it's a great point. And I don't even own one, it's just, it's thought. I don't know.
Okay. I would encourage you to work out a strong answer for that, either in the affirmative or the negative.
Okay.
And not have just, I'm not sure. I mean, it's fine to be, we always say, be straight about what your position is. If you don't have one, to say that, or say you don't have an answer, but you'll get one. But I think on an issue that is this strong, that is this in the forefront of people's minds, they want to vote for a candidate that, regardless of what position they take, they have a very strong ideology behind it.
Okay.
Yeah, New Jersey passed that law, right, about cell phones in schools just a few weeks ago. And a lot of the teachers, applauded it, but a lot didn't. A lot were like, you're going to take these children's only lifeline to say goodbye to their parents, potentially, to call for help, right? And you're going to ban cell phones, but do nothing about the pew pews. Right. How does that make sense? Right. So, yeah. So I think that it is like, we should be, we need common sense, right? We need common sense pew pew reforms. We need to be able to keep our kids safe. That should be first and foremost. And the fact that we still can't get to a place where everybody agrees, right? Where everybody agrees, all lawmakers especially agree that we need to do something about this because it keeps happening again and again and again, right? It's, pew pew violence is the number one fatality for children and has been for many years. So yeah, I agree with Stacey, having a concise and strong stance on that, like where you stand and where you think that we need to go is crucial, especially in New Jersey.
Okay.
And so many of your policies are so progressive. I could see people being like, that doesn't line up with any of the other things that he's saying.
Oh, I apologize.
No,
No,
it's
don't
not your fault.
apologize.
No, I mean, your stances are your stance. We're just saying, like, you know, yeah, it's okay, Cats. Like, you know, even if you are like, I believe in a Second Amendment. I believe we need it. I believe the founders were right. You know, were correct that, you know, to prevent the takeover by a tyrannical government, we need the ability, need to have the option and the ability to defend ourselves against a tyrannical government. And because of that, I believe in the Second Amendment, but I also believe in common sense. I believe in common sense legislation and common sense guardrails that will prevent the mentally ill from, you know, acquiring weapons. Barack Obama had a bill during his tenure that sought to take away the ability to have legal weapons from people who, by their own words, when they apply for Social Security disability, said that they had like a mental issue, right? They couldn't dress themselves. They can't manage their own money, you know, all these things, but yet they still had access to weapons. And he's like, no, if you can't even dress yourself,
Right.
if you are so depressed that you can't get out of bed for weeks at a time, and you still have access to weapons, like that's a you know, a disaster waiting to happen. You know, by their own admission, these people are have, you know, mental illness, because that's it's so severely that they're on Social Security disability. Right. So that's that's where I would land on it. Stacey, you want to take the next one too? Because I know that you are so adamant about this topic.
Let me
Go ahead.
let me say something. So like, as far as competition shooting and stuff like that, I believe it doesn't matter if that particular weapon is available to the public, that they can use them, you know, in certain competitions anyway. But like, as far as like a Kyle Rittenhouse, you know, marching down the street with an AR-15 or whatever, I'm not good with any of that stuff too. So you really have opened my eyes on some of that, and I really appreciate that.
So, what does a fair and functional immigration system look like to you? Border management, asylum, legal pathways, work permits, etc.
Actually, it's funny that you said that, because I was looking at it was a one that was introduced in 2021, but it was not enacted, and it was by our very own Bob Menendez, of all people, that I actually kind of like. And it was extensive immigration system reform. Let me see if I can find the name of it. Let's see. I was searching it earlier.
I just actually, you know, the one that we hear a lot is the Langford bill. And
Yeah.
I just heard about this 2021 bill, like maybe a week ago. I had never heard of it. I didn't even know that that bill was introduced in Congress. And I'm surprised that I didn't. Mm-hmm.
I mean, it sounds good if you go and read through it. So that's why I'm a fan of that one as opposed to the other ones. But yeah, it's supposed to be, you know, better for immigration, getting immigrants an easier path to American citizenship. A lot of the delay in getting United States citizenship is the green card period, when you're waiting to get from your green card transitioned over to being an American citizen. So that seems to expedite that, as well as have the it has a bunch of conditions in it as well. It seems like a very good bill. If I was to adopt something, it would be just like that, except it'd probably be adjusted a little bit as far as the time periods and stuff like that. But it seemed pretty good to me.
Yeah, so I actually have it up here. It's the U.S. Citizen Act of 2021. It proposes an 8-year path to citizenship for 11 million undocumented immigrants, which was the number that were here, that were estimated to be here at the time. And undocumented immigrants, again, for people who don't know, does not mean gotaways. They're not people jumping the fence and getting away. We don't know how many people that are like that here. Probably not many, because those people cannot legally get a job, right? It's the people that come here and claim asylum, right? The people that come here on a work visa and overstay. the people that are in some kind of process, right? They're in process. They haven't had a final disposition yet on their application. They are undocumented. There was estimated to be 11 million here in 2021, and so this provided a path to citizenship, an 8-year path to citizenship for those 11 million. And then it also aimed to reform legal immigration, prioritize family reunification, increase the number of visas, enhance border security. So it's like everything that you could want out of an immigration bill, right?
Okay, so that's why we haven't heard of it, because the 11 path to citizenship for 11 million undocumented, Republicans were like, hell no, we're not doing that.
It's so dumb though, because like when you look at the minimum livable wage, right? So when you look at how the livable wage has not increased, it's because they have these people that are, if you want to call them illegal, whatever, undocumented, that are working for slave wages. You know, if they were actually United States citizens and they were making United States citizens wages, then they wouldn't be able to find anybody to employ for these things. And it would be like a rising tide rises all boats type thing, you know? So that's part of the predicament that we're in. So immigration system has needed to reform for a while, in my opinion. That one was already introduced and already has some framework to it. So it seemed appealing to me to jump on that one because it seemed plausible. You know,
I would look at that, and then I would pull up the Langford bill, which was the most recent bill that Donald Trump tanked and said, I mean, everybody had full bipartisan support, and then Donald Trump called and said, "Nah, I need to run on this. I can't give the Democrats a win." And I would look and see what things are separate and what things overlap in those bills, because I believe they're probably very far apart, because it was described, the Langford bill was described as a Republican's wet dream. Right. It did not give path to citizenship. It did not give a lot of things. So that tells you, and it got bipartisan support. And I think the people on the left that were on board, the Democrats that were on board, were like, it's the most comprehensive thing we've had in 40 years. It's a good start, which I agree with. So I guess I'm just saying, be cautious in what you're putting up. Take the temperature, which of course you would. But we were there. If we can put some more stuff in there, because, you know, why not? Like, make them tell us to strip it out, or let them strip it out. But I don't want it to be their wet dream. I don't want it to be our wet dream. It needs to be what makes sense. I think we need to add in some better things to the Langford bill, but I would definitely look at those two bills side by side. Okay. And as far as undocumented immigrants working for slave wages, it's surprisingly few people that are really working under the table, because those corporations don't want to get hemmed up by the IRS. So once they've been here for 180 days and applying for asylum, once you've been here for 180 days, you apply for a work permit, you get an ITIN number, and then you can work, and then you get all your deductions. Now, if corporations choose to offer them lower wages than they would someone who is American, that is an issue for the corporation. That is something I would like to see state legislation and federal legislation hold to account corporations who are mistreating immigrants, who are on the books working for them, but they don't have the protections. Because if you're undocumented, especially now, you're undocumented, so you're in process, whether you have TPS, whether you're in the midst of an asylum, all of those things, you're still in process. You don't want to cause any problems. You're like, nope, I'm very happy to be here, and I don't want to, give you any reason to fire me or to have immigration come and looking at me. So it would be great to have the corporations held to account for giving these people the proper protections and the proper wages.
Absolutely. And when I'm speaking about it, I'm talking from like the construction vantage point. So there's like a livable wage like I make as a union electrician. And then you have the non-union electricians, for instance, that would pay their employees who may be documented, probably undocumented, $15 to $20 an hour, which is, it's not really a livable wage, in my opinion, in New Jersey. So that's what I'm talking about.
Because people think, you see somebody who speaks Spanish, you think that they are a godaway. You think that they hopped the fence, duct taped themselves to a bottom of a semi, and came over here and were like, I can swing a hammer. Can you put me to work? All those roofing crews, those people are undocumented generally. They're in process, but they have an ITIN number and they're working legally. Anybody that you see, just because you see somebody on a lawn boy doesn't mean, if they're operating a zero turn, doesn't mean that because they can't speak to me when they come to my house, doesn't mean they're not working legally. So I just wanted to make that distinction because a lot of people think if you can't speak English and you're working, then you are a godaway. You are working illegally when you could be undocumented because you haven't reached your full status yet, but you still have an ITIN number. So that was just for clarification.
No, that's fine. A lot of MAGA were just learning the other day after the Super Bowl that Puerto Rico is part of the United States, so and they speak Spanish. So
Yeah, isn't that something, right?
Yeah.
It's
Bonkers.
yeah, so sad.
Yeah. All right, Lisa.
So- Yep. Yep, number 10. So once you win your primary, which I know you're gonna win, you're just gonna take it.
Mhm.
So once you win your primary, what will be your contrast message with your Republican opponent in one line? So if you elect me, you get blah. If you elect him, you get
okay.
blah.
If you elect me, you get leadership, accountability, and someone actually trying to make things better. If you elect him, you get an absent congressman who's checked out a long time ago.
Love it. That was really good.
Yeah. Short, sweet, to the point, concise. Okay.
I'm still working on my political game on trying to stretch out these answers.
No, that was perfect. Yeah.
Because that's what politicians do. They give these long, verbose questions, and then people nod off, or they're like, "What does that word mean? Like, what? Can you just talk to me?" I love that you just give it to us.
And then they don't answer the question. They give you the
Exactly.
runaround and
Right.
never come back to the point. So
And
I was even when I get spaced out on a story, I try to come back to the original question and answer it.
I love it. No notes, John. No notes for me. All right, lightning round.
Well, the lightning round, guys. We're going to do a lightning round just to get to know John a little bit better, and maybe New Jersey a little bit better. If you want to ask John a question, please get in the request box, and we're going to be bringing you up to ask your question. So, what is one myth or stereotype about New Jersey that you're tired of hearing?
It's a toxic dumping ground. It's not. It's a beautiful state.
It is a beautiful state.
Yeah, I hear the armpit.
Yeah.
I'm
I
like,
hear that a lot too.
I'm like, have you been to Arkansas? I don't know about what. I don't know. Okay. Tell us about a local place, tradition, or a person that shaped your values.
I mean, that has to be my mom. I mean, she raised me by herself, single mom. Not only did she raise me by herself, but she went and got an education and became a lead computer programmer. That's the head of a team of a bunch of computer programmer teams. So she's very established in her field, and she managed to do that and raise me and my brother at the same time as a single mom. I commend her for that, and she really shaped who I am now.
Love it.
I love that. As a single mom, I can relate, and I'm sure she is very proud of you.
Same. Love that. So what's a question that you wish we had asked you, and what would be your answer?
I wish you asked me if I would abolish ICE, which I would yesterday, and I'd hold them all accountable. But we have 5 good candidates, so I have a good feeling that when we get this blue wave that we all see coming, that we're going to unseat Chris Smith and we're going to have a good representative in his place.
Love that. Love
Nice.
that. What is your website?
My webpage is still being worked on at the moment. I had to gather some pictures to complete it. But I do have social media pages. I have an Instagram page and a TikTok page.
Okay, and then the final question is, will you promise
Promise.
to come back and talk to us after the election?
Absolutely. I'd be
After the
honored.
primary, yeah. And
Thank
then
you for
after you win the district, like both times, you have to come
Yeah.
back and talk to us.
Talk to us about your experience. What you expected? What things you weren't expecting? Things that were worse and better than what you expected. We want all the tea, all the steaming hot tea.
You got me, win or lose.
I love that.
Excellent, excellent.
Yes.
How can we donate? That's a good question.
Oh,
So
it is.
I would say his website, and I'm like I said, I'm going to put his link in the link tree in my bio.
His social pages, yeah.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you letting me on here to chat with you guys. Thank you so much, and thank you for having me tonight.
Absolutely.
Yep, absolutely.
Stay warm.
All right, take care, everybody.
That was so great.
It was awesome. I
He's
loved it.
amazing. I love him.